Opening scene. The story begins in the bustling command center of the Galactic Council's monitoring station, orbiting the planet Velos Prime. Captain Wren, a seasoned officer of the Velan species, sits at his console reviewing routine scan reports. The galaxy has been at peace for 2 centuries, ever since humanity mysteriously vanished without a trace. The Discovery A, junior officer named Kira, rushes to Wren's station with urgent news. Long-range sensors have detected an unknown vessel drifting near the abandoned sector known as the Dead Zone, the region where Earth and its colonies once thrived. The ship's signature is ancient, predating modern galactic vessels by at least 300 years. The investigation begins. Council dispatches a research vessel, the Wanderer, commanded by Wren, to investigate. The crew includes Kira, the eager young officer, Dr. Moss, a historian obsessed with lost civilizations, and Pilot Jocks, a calm and experienced navigator. As they approach the coordinates, they find a massive derelict ship floating in the void, its hull scarred and weathered, but still intact. The Ghost ship. The vessel is identified through ancient database records as the Defiance, a human warship that disappeared during the final days before humanity's vanishing. The ship is dark and silent, showing no life signs. Against protocol, Wren decides to board it with a small team. They find the corridors frozen and preserved, like a tomb suspended in time. Discovering the truth inside the ship's main bridge, they discover Captain Blake's final log entry, still playing on a loop. Blake's hologram explains that humanity didn't vanish, they were forced to flee. A powerful enemy called the Swarm had invaded human space, an unstoppable force that consumed entire worlds. Humanity fought desperately, but realized they couldn't win. Rather than let the Swarm spread to the rest of the galaxy, humanity made a terrible choice. The sacrifice. Blake's log reveals that humanity activated an experimental weapon, a quantum barrier that sealed off all human-occupied space, including Earth, from the rest of the galaxy. The barrier would trap both humanity and the Swarm inside, protecting the other species. The Defiance was caught outside the barrier during the final moments, unable to return home. The warning. Blake's final words carry a chilling warning. The barrier was only designed to last 300 years. If the hologram is playing now, it means the barrier is failing. Humanity and the Swarm will soon return to the galaxy. Blake urges whoever finds the message to prepare, because humanity will need allies and the Swarm will need to be stopped. The Revelation. Wren and his crew stand in shocked silence. The galaxy had celebrated humanity's disappearance, calling it a natural evolution or ascension to a higher plane. Some species had even claimed humanity never existed at all, dismissing them as myths. Now the truth is undeniable. Humanity sacrificed themselves to save everyone else. Rising tension. Dr. Moss downloads the ship's entire database, while Kira notices something disturbing on the sensors. Energy readings are spiking near the Dead Zone's border. The barrier is destabilizing faster than expected. They have weeks, perhaps days, before it collapses entirely. The race against time. Wren orders an immediate return to Velos Prime. They must warn the Council and prepare the galaxy for what's coming. As the Wanderer speeds away, the Defiance begins to drift deeper into the Dead Zone, its power finally failing after 3 centuries of waiting. Closing scene. Back at the Council chambers, Wren presents the evidence to the assembled representatives of 40 different species. Many refuse to believe it. Some call it human propaganda. Others dismiss humanity as primitive warmongers who probably destroyed themselves. But Wren plays Blake's final message, and the room falls silent. The Council leader, an ancient being named Elder Toph, finally speaks. He admits that the eldest records do mention humanity, though those files were sealed long ago. If humanity truly sacrificed themselves to protect the galaxy, then the Council has a debt to repay. But more importantly, If the swarm is real and is coming, the galaxy is not prepared. Elder Toph issues a decree. All military forces must mobilize. Scientists must study the barrier technology. And the galaxy must decide, when humanity returns, will they be welcomed as heroes and allies, or feared as ghosts from a forgotten war? As the session ends, Ren looks out at the stars and wonders, what will humanity be like after 300 years of fighting in isolation? And will they forgive the galaxy for forgetting them? The preparation 3 weeks pass since the Council's emergency session. Elder Toph establishes a special task force called the Barrier Response Fleet, with Captain Ren appointed as its commander. The fleet gathers near the Dead Zone's boundary, consisting of ships from 20 different species. Each vessel brings weapons, supplies, and deep uncertainty about what awaits them. Strange signals jar. Moss continues analyzing data from the Defiance. She discovers coded transmissions buried in the ship's logs messages, humanity sent during the war against the swarm. The messages describe a relentless enemy that adapts to every weapon, learns from every battle, and consumes biological matter to fuel its expansion. The swarm isn't just an army. It's a living nightmare that grows stronger with each victory. First Contact. Preparation Ren organizes diplomatic teams to prepare for humanity's return. Ambassador Lin, a thoughtful representative from the peaceful Antari species, volunteers to lead First Contact. She studies human languages, customs, and history, trying to understand a species the galaxy abandoned. She finds records of human art, music, and poetry, evidence of a rich culture beyond their reputation as warriors. The barrier weakens. Kira monitors the barrier's deterioration from her science station. Cracks appear in the quantum field, releasing brief flashes of energy. Through these gaps, the sensors detect something horrifying: massive heat signatures and debris fields. The war inside the barrier never ended. Humanity has been fighting alone for 3 centuries. Dissent among the ranks. Not everyone supports helping humanity. Commander Voss, a military leader from the powerful Draken Empire, argues that humanity should remain sealed away. He claims humans are dangerous, pointing to their historical records of warfare and aggression. Voss warns that releasing humanity might trade one threat for another. A difficult decision. Elder Toph calls another council meeting. The debate grows heated. Some species want to reinforce the barrier, trapping humanity and the swarm forever. Others argue this would be cowardice and betrayal. Ambassador Lin delivers an impassioned speech, reminding the council that humanity chose sacrifice over survival. The galaxy owes them a chance. The vote the council votes. By a narrow margin, they decide to prepare for both rescue and defense. If humanity emerges from the barrier, they will be offered aid and alliance. But if the swarm appears first, the fleet will fight. Elder Toph appoints both Ren and Voss to joint command, hoping their different perspectives will balance each other. The barrier collapses 4 days later. Alarms blare across the fleet. The barrier is failing catastrophically. Reality itself seems to tear as the quantum field dissolves. The fleet scrambles to battle stations. Every sensor focuses on the Dead Zone as the ancient barrier finally breaks apart in waves of brilliant light. What emerges? The first ships to exit are human vessels, but they look nothing like the Defiance. These ships are battle-scarred and rebuilt with salvage technology. Mismatched hull plates cover old wounds. Weapons bristle from every surface. These are ships that never stopped fighting. The human fleet. Dozens of human ships emerge, then hundreds. They move in tight defensive formations, weapons armed and shields raised. They're not explorers or diplomats. They're survivors expecting another enemy. The lead vessel broadcasts a warning in multiple languages, demanding identification and intent. Admiral Cross. The human fleet is commanded by Admiral Kate Cross, a woman whose face shows the weight of generations of warfare. Her message is direct and cold. Humanity spent 300 years in hell fighting the swarm to extinction. They succeeded, but at terrible cost. Earth is gone, consumed in the final battle. Only 12 colony worlds survived, each one scarred beyond recognition. The tension rises. Commander Voss sees the weapons on the human ships and demands they power down. Admiral Cross refuses. She doesn't trust the galactic species, who left humanity to die alone. Wren tries to explain that the galaxy didn't know, that they only recently discovered the truth. Cross responds with bitter laughter. Humanity sent distress calls for 50 years before raising the barrier. The galaxy ignored every single one. Bridge-building Ambassador Lin requests permission to come aboard. Cross's flagship alone and unarmed. It's a huge risk, but Wren approves it. Lin's shuttle slowly approaches the human vessel, while both fleets watch with weapons ready. This single moment will determine everything, whether humanity rejoins the galaxy as allies or returns as conquerors seeking revenge. As Lin's shuttle disappears into the human ship's docking bay, Wren whispers a prayer to whatever gods might listen. The galaxy forgot humanity once. Now humanity has returned, and nothing will ever be the same. Asterisk. Inside the human flagship, Ambassador Lin walks through the corridors of the human warship Resolute. The walls are scorched and patched with metal from different ships. The crew members she passes look exhausted, their eyes carrying the weight of endless war. Young soldiers appear decades older than their years. Lin realizes these people haven't known peace in their entire lives. The meeting, Admiral. Cross waits in a sparse conference room. 2 guards stand behind her, hands near their weapons. Cross studies Lin carefully, looking for deception or weakness. Lin begins by apologizing for the galaxy's silence, for the abandoned distress calls, for 300 years of isolation. She admits the Council failed humanity terribly. Humanity's story. Cross listens, then tells humanity's true story. When the swarm arrived, it devoured the outer colonies in weeks. Humanity sent desperate warnings to the galactic community, but received only silence. Some species thought it was a human problem. Others didn't believe the threat was real. By the time humanity raised the barrier, 15 billion people had already died. The long war inside the barrier, humanity fought with everything they had. They abandoned traditional warfare and became something new, efficient, ruthless, and united in a way they'd never been before. Every civilian became a soldier. Every resource went to the war effort. Entire generations were born and died knowing only combat. The cost of victory. Cross explains that destroying the swarm required destroying Earth itself. Humanity lured the swarm's central intelligence to their homeworld, then detonated the planet's core. The explosion wiped out the swarm's ability to coordinate, and humanity spent the next 50 years hunting down the scattered remnants. Victory came, but humanity's birthplace became an asteroid field. Trust issues. Lin asks what humanity wants now. Cross's answer is blunt. Safety for the surviving colonies and assurance that the galaxy won't abandon them again. She doesn't want war, but she won't disarm while surrounded by alien fleets. Lin promises to advocate for humanity's needs and requests a chance to prove the galaxy has changed. Gesture of faith. Cross considers this, then makes an unexpected decision. She allows a small delegation of council representatives to visit New Terra, humanity's current capital world. They can see the conditions humanity lives in and report back. But if the delegation is harmed or used as a trap, the human fleet will consider it an act of war. Return to the fleet. Lin returns to the Wanderer and reports to Wren and Voss. The commanders react. Differently, Wren sees an opportunity for peace, while Voss remains suspicious of human intentions. Elder Toph, listening via communication link, approves the delegation. He announces he will go himself, along with Wren, Lin, and representatives from 5 other species. Journey to New Terra the delegation travels aboard a human escort ship through what was once human space. They pass destroyed worlds and debris fields stretching for millions of miles. Dr. Moss documents everything with growing horror. This entire region is a graveyard. The swarm consumed dozens of planets before humanity stopped it. Arrival at New Terra Nu. Terra orbits a dim red star in a system humanity never colonized before the war. The planet is harsh and barely habitable, but humanity transformed it into a fortress world. Massive orbital defense platforms surround it. The surface shows cities, built into mountains and underground complexes designed to withstand invasion. Seeing humanity's reality, Elder Toph and the delegation toward the capital city, New Haven. They expect military might and aggression, but instead find something. Unexpected humanity desperately trying to rebuild civilian life. Schools operate in reinforced bunkers. Children play in parks surrounded by defense walls. Art galleries display paintings created during the war years, showing humanity's refusal to abandon beauty. Even in darkness. The memorial Admiral Cross takes them to the Great Memorial, a massive structure listing the names of every human who died in the war. 15 billion names cover walls stretching for miles. Fresh flowers lie at the base, placed by survivors honoring those they lost. Elder Toph stands before the memorial in silence, finally understanding the true weight of humanity's sacrifice. The hospital they visit, a military hospital where wounded soldiers recover from injuries sustained in the final battles. Against the swarm, Dr. Moss meets human doctors who developed advanced medical techniques out of necessity. Despite their suffering, the medical staff show no hatred toward the alien visitors, only curiosity and cautious hope. Children of Warlin speaks with young humans who've never known life outside the barrier. A girl named Emma, barely 12 years old, asks if the galaxy has beautiful places where people don't need to carry weapons. Lynn promises to show her someday, fighting back tears. Asterisk the Council's revelation. That evening, Elder Toph gathers the delegation in their quarters aboard New Terra. Each representative shares what they witnessed. The peaceful Antari weep openly. The warrior Drakens stand in respectful silence. Even Commander Voss appears shaken, his earlier suspicions crumbling under the weight of humanity's suffering. Elder Toph's confession. Elder Toph reveals a secret he's carried for centuries. He was present on the council when humanity's first distress calls arrived. He was young then and voted with the majority to classify the situation as under observation. The council debated endlessly while humanity burned. Political concerns and territorial disputes delayed any response. By the time they decided to act, the barrier had already risen. The weight of guilt. Toph admits the council then made another choice. They sealed the records and let humanity fade from memory. It was easier than admitting their failure. Entire generations grew up never knowing humanity existed. The galaxy moved forward, while humanity fought alone in darkness. Toph's voice breaks as he apologizes to the empty air, knowing no words can undo 3 centuries of abandonment. A private conversation late that night. Ren finds Admiral Cross standing on an observation deck, staring at the stars. She tells him about her grandmother, who was alive when the barrier rose. Her grandmother remembered Earth's blue skies and green forests. Cross grew up on stories of a beautiful homeworld she'd never see. She asks Ren if the galaxy still has places like the Earth of old, sharing stories. Ren describes Velos Prime's crystal waterfalls and bioluminescent forests. He shows her holographic images of peaceful worlds across the galaxy gardens that stretch for continents, cities built around preserving nature, festivals celebrating art and music. Cross watches with an expression caught between wonder and pain. Her people fought to save a galaxy they'd never experienced. The proposal, Cross tells Ren, that humanity needs more than sympathy. They need resources to rebuild. New Terra and the 11 other surviving colonies are overcrowded and strained. Food production struggles on hostile worlds. Medical supplies run low. The human fleet is powerful but aging, held together by salvage and desperation. Without help, humanity might survive, but never truly live again. Wren's promise. Wren promises to bring Cross's needs directly to the Council. He believes the galaxy will help, not out of pity, but because it's deserved. Humanity saved countless trillions of lives by containing the swarm. The debt is real and must be repaid. Cross smiles slightly, the first genuine smile Wren has seen from any human, and says maybe the galaxy has changed after all. The unexpected attack. Suddenly, alarms shatter the quiet moment. Defense stations around New Terra light up with warnings. Unknown ships are entering the system at high speed, ignoring all hails. The human fleet scrambles to intercept. Cross rushes to the command center with Wren close behind. Asterisk the Draken fleet. The attacking ships bear Draken Empire markings. Commander Voss appears on the communication screen, his expression cold and determined. He declares that he cannot allow humanity to rejoin the galaxy. Humans are too dangerous, too militarized, too damaged by war. He's taken command of a Draken battle group and will eliminate the human threat before it spreads. Betrayal Elder Toph tries to countermand Voss's orders. But Voss has acted independently, claiming emergency authority. A faction within the Draken Empire supports him, fearing humanity's military capabilities. They see humanity not as victims, but as potential conquerors. Voss believes he's protecting the galaxy from a future war. Humanity's response, Admiral Cross, calmly issues orders. The human fleet moves to defensive positions around New Terra. Every orbital platform powers up. Ground-based weapons emerge from hidden silos. Cross broadcasts a message to Voss. Humanity doesn't want this fight, but they've survived far worse than him. Stand down or face the consequences. The standoff Voss refuses. His ships advance. The human fleet holds position, not firing first, but clearly ready. The tension stretches across space as two forces prepare for battle. Ambassador Lin frantically works diplomatic channels, trying to reach other council members who can stop this madness. Wren's choice Wren faces an impossible decision. He commands ships from multiple species positioned between the two forces. He can side with Voss and help eliminate what some see as a threat. Or he can side with humanity and potentially start a civil war within the galactic community. The choice he makes in the next few minutes will determine the fate of billions. As weapon systems charge and targeting locks engage. Wren closes his eyes and thinks of everything he's learned. Then he opens his eyes and gives his order. Asterisk. Wren's decision, Wren's voice, cuts through the communication channels with absolute authority. He orders his multi-species fleet to position themselves between Voss and the human forces. His message is clear. Any attack on humanity must go through him first. He invokes ancient council law that prohibits military action without full council approval. Voss is acting illegally, and Wren will not allow it. The line is drawn. Ships from the Velen, Antari, and 3 other species follow Wren's command, forming a protective barrier around New Terra. Pilot Jox positions the Wanderer at the formation center, directly in Voss's firing path. Dr. Moss broadcasts Wren's legal justification to every ship in the system, making the situation clear to all witnesses. Voss's rage Commander Voss accuses Wren of betraying his own kind for humans. He argues that Wren has been manipulated, that humanity's suffering has clouded his judgment. Voss warns that the human fleet could destroy them all if given the chance. He demands Wren move aside or be branded a traitor to the Galactic Order. Restrained Admiral Cross keeps the human fleet in defensive positions despite having tactical advantage. She could strike first and likely win, but she holds fire. She understands that attacking now would prove Voss right and turn the entire galaxy against humanity. Lin watches Cross carefully, impressed by the Admiral's discipline, despite centuries of war conditioning. Elder Toph's broadcast elder. Toph makes a galaxy-wide emergency broadcast from New Terra. His message reaches every Council world simultaneously. He speaks of humanity's sacrifice, the sealed records, and the Council's historical failure. He describes what he witnessed on New Terra, not monsters or warmongers, but survivors trying to rebuild. He declares Voss's actions illegal and demands immediate Council intervention. The Council responds within the hour. Emergency votes flood in from Council worlds. The majority sides with Elder Toph, ordering Voss to stand down. The Draken Empire's leadership, realizing the political disaster Voss has created, strips him of command and recalls his fleet. But Voss refuses to acknowledge their authority, claiming they're too weak to make hard decisions. The Fracture 3 Draken ships break formation and withdraw, obeying their government's orders. But 5 remain with Voss, along with vessels from 2 other species who share his fears. It's a small force, but enough to cause terrible damage. Voss has become a rogue commander, leading a rebellion based on fear. Humanity's past revealed. Moss makes an unexpected discovery in the human archives. She finds records showing that before the swarm arrived, humanity was moving toward peace. They'd ended their last major internal war and were unifying under a single planetary government. The militarization that Voss fears wasn't humanity's natural state, it was what survival demanded. She broadcasts this evidence to all ships. A human perspective, a young human officer named Tom volunteers to speak directly to Voss's fleet. Tom was born during the war and has never fired a weapon in anger. The swarm was defeated before he reached fighting age. He tells Voss's forces that his generation wants to build, not destroy. They want to see the galaxy their ancestors saved. They want gardens and schools, not battlefields. Kira's plea. Kira, who has worked alongside Ren throughout this crisis, broadcasts her own message. She speaks of fear and how it drives people to terrible choices. She understands Voss's concerns, but argues that fear must not dictate their future. The galaxy chose fear once before and abandoned humanity. They cannot make the same mistake again. The moment of truth, Voss must decide whether to fire on Ren's fleet, knowing it means killing fellow galactic citizens to reach humanity. His tactical officer quietly reports that even if they succeed, the human defenses would destroy them before they could inflict significant damage. It would be a massacre on both sides with no winner. An unexpected voice, one of Voss's own crew members. A young Draken pilot named Rex speaks over the internal communication system. Rex questions whether this is truly what the Drakens stand for, attacking survivors who fought to save others. He reminds Voss that Draken honor demands protecting the weak, not destroying them. Other crew members voice agreement. Voss hesitates for the first time. Voss's certainty wavers. He looks at the tactical display showing Ren's fleet protecting New Terra, the human forces holding defensive positions, and his own small group isolated and condemned by the Council. He realizes he's not protecting the galaxy. He's become the very threat he feared. The weapons remain charged. The standoff continues, and everyone waits to see if reason will prevail or if the galaxy's first contact with humanity in 3 centuries will end in tragedy. Asterisk.